Up next on UBC, brought to you by
Keep the lights on. Use Airtel Money to pay for all your Yaka bills conveniently. Open the My Airtel app to buy Yaka units. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
Hello and welcome to News Tonight. Let's take a look at the top stories tonight. Residents living around Ebola isolation facility ask Health Ministry to treat Ebola patients in respective districts. Kampala Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago calls for government support on Ebola prevention. And Uganda urges stranded Ugandans living in the UAE to register with immigration. Hello once again, I am Rhoda Ngonzi. We will get started. President Yoweri Museveni has today received credentials from the new Danish ambassador, Her Excellency Sine Aljag. Welcoming Her Excellency, President Museveni said Uganda has enjoyed a good relationship with Denmark for a long time. President Museveni highlighted that Denmark has been Uganda's partner in the area of milk production as they gave Uganda the first 20 milk coolers, which were used to encourage people to produce milk for money and not only for consumption. President Museveni also thanked the Danish government for supporting Uganda in managing refugees. Now, President Museveni this afternoon received credentials from incoming EU ambassador to Uganda, Jan Sadek. The ambassador was accompanied by his wife, and present at the function was Uganda's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Abubakar Jeje Odong, among other officials.
As well as the letters of credence by which Her Excellency, the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, and His Excellency, the President of the European Council, Mr. Charles Michel, has accredited me as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the Republic of Uganda. By the way, just a moment. It's familiar to you, Your Excellency.
Now, the Vice President Jessica Lupo, also woman member for Parliament for Katakwit District, has appealed to residents of Serere District to protect and conserve the environment. She was addressing Christians of St. Peter's Church, Olio, in Serere District, a countryside area which is in great need of environmental protection and conservation. The Vice President reminded Christians on protecting the environment, which she has continuously championed to both the young and old. She was flanked by the State Minister for Ethics, Rose Lily Akello, and Deputy CDF General Peter Elwelu.
Little children, who made a huge part of the congregation, listened attentively yesterday as the Serere district played host to Her Excellency Vice President Major Retired Jessica Alupo. The mood was bright and sunny as more people gathered here at St. Peter's Church, Olio. In her message to the congregation on environmental protection, the Vice President said government has made strides in providing more cooking alternatives to save trees from being cut for charcoal use, emphasizing that it is an effort that places a responsibility on everyone. The Vice President made the call during a fundraising ceremony for the construction of St. Peter's Church, Olio in Serere District. The ceremony also saw Christians mark the World Mission Sunday and Paris Day, presided over by the Right Reverend Dr. Joseph Echiru Oliach, the Bishop of Soroti Diocese. When the season is hot, Teso is normally one of the most affected by long droughts, sometimes creating hunger. It is for this reason the Vice President told the people of Teso that the time is now for them to plant 1 billion trees to save the earth from climate change, rain formation, and prevent biodiversity loss. Alupo encouraged them to plant trees in their farms, along roads, and everywhere else, saying trees are an integral part of environmentally beneficial, not only to farming, but also provide habitats to wildlife, help prevent flooding, store carbon, and clean the air. She further explained that the trees also benefit farmers by providing shade and shelter for livestock and encouraging pollinators. She also urged the clergy to always encourage parents to raise children in the best way possible if they want the youngsters to create a better citizenry in future. At the fundraising, a total of 70 million was contributed in cash and pledges towards the construction and equipping of St. Peter's Church, Olio. Bishop Oliach, in his message, advised Christians to continue working hard to combat the poverty levels in their households and also to participate in government development programs. Etole Ed Akenjo, UBC News.
Now, leaders in Butambala district are opposed to the request of health workers to have the private wing that was banned by the Prime Minister Robina Nabbanja reinstated. The Prime Minister in June this year ordered for the immediate closure of the private wing after numerous cries from the public that government drugs meant to be free were being sold in the pretext of operating the private wing.
While meeting the Prime Minister Robina Nabbanja at Gombe Hospital on Sunday, the leaders led by the Members of Parliament Mwanga Chivumbi and Aisha Kawanda pointed out that the private wing aids extortion for local people for health services. The medical superintendent at Gombe Hospital, Joseph Mbuga, briefed the meeting that service delivery is becoming difficult since the banning of the private wing. The leaders say that allowing the reopening of the private wing will only worsen the situation of service delivery that has been improving of late.
It is humanizing. No matter what, no routine. Bangabayine dagala, bangabayine. Bangabafu, bangabayine bafu, onafa, bangabayine dagala. Bangabayine private wing yaliko wano. China chachana nyosi ya tumungira ko. Edward Africa libenga public yabantu faba mulicho.
The Prime Minister Robina Nabbanja told the meeting that the private wing can only be allowed to operate after an audit to establish its relevancy to the ordinary person. The Chief Administrative Officer, Butambala District, Nathan Dujuma, assured the Prime Minister that if the government increased funding to the health sector, service delivery would greatly improve.
okuva ku bitundu 66 buli 100 abisatuko mu kinaana.
The Prime Minister has promised to ensure sanity prevails at Gombe Government General Hospital.
The political leadership of Kampala Capital City Authority has urged government to come up with a program of action and budget for them to be able to work on arrangements of reducing the spread of Ebola in Kampala. Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago, during an exclusive interview, said no clear roadmap has been rolled out on handling Ebola in Kampala.
Over 10 cases of Ebola have been discovered in metropolitan Kampala area. According to the political leadership of Kampala, this was expected immediately they heard of an outbreak in Madudu, Mubende. But the disease has been centralized, local leaders are sidelined, and there is no support from government. Kampala Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago wants a budget to ensure the workers in the health facilities get personal protective equipment.
No clear roadmap or work plan has been rolled out to the city and other local entities. Get these patients posting those signs of Ebola, they always rush to the hospitals in Kampala here. So we don't want pandemonium to break out at the health facilities, people scampering for their dear lives simply because they have seen somebody posting those signs. No. And when they are ill-equipped, certainly they will have to run for their lives. So we are saying, look, let's equip them with the necessary facilities, and the key amongst those facilities are the PPEs. To date, we don't have any.
They also wanted support to empower village health committees, boost their capacity to be able to track cases and do surveillance. Lukwago wants government to work out necessary arrangements to be able to manage Ebola in Kampala and prevent putting the city in a lockdown, yet it was still recovering from the COVID lockdown.
We also want to empower our village health committees. We must boost their capacity to help us deal with the dissemination of information, surveillance, monitoring, tracking these suspects, or work out preemptive arrangements to ward off the spread of Ebola without necessarily putting the state under lockdown. The least thing we would want to see is putting the city yet under a debilitating lockdown.
From the COVID-19 fund, KCCA procured 7 ambulances, which they plan to roll out to different health facilities. Meanwhile, on tenants in Kampala arcades leaving because of hiked rent, he attributes the situation to delay in passing the landlord-tenant law and charging rent in dollars.
Right now, we don't know the fate of that legislation because ever since it was returned to State House for the presidential assent, we don't know what happened next. The station had imposed the ceiling and particular intervals. And to be specific, I think the provision was to the effect that there shouldn't be, the increment shouldn't go beyond 10% in any given interval. That remained within the Act, but unfortunately how the same will become operational, to be effective, be enforced or implemented is yet another matter.
Lukwago urges organizations managing the business community in Kampala to support the affected categories. I'm Navka Farida and Joel Vubia.
Meanwhile, Entebbe residents are concerned over the rising numbers of Ebola patients transferred to Entebbe Isolation Center. Residents around the isolation facility are now living in fear that they might contract the Ebola virus from the transferred patients. However, the Entebbe Municipality Authority assures local residents that the facility has been there for so long handling pandemics.
Residents in Entebbe that live near the isolation facility fear that they might contract Ebola from patients that are being transferred there for treatment.
Abalwadde b'Ebola bali mu Bende naye ate ngenda kuwulira nti ate babaleeta eno waffe kitegeeza naffe bali mu pulaani eyagala tuggalawo okuzaawo muga
ebintu bya bbeeyi kimu kya bbeeyi amafuta ga bbeeyi kati batunadde mu muggalo ng'ebintu bya bbeeyi ate embeera ejja kubeera mbi nnyo.
We have had this isolation ward for a while. It was not just for Ebola but for TB. It has been improved, it has been rebuilt, it has been revamped. So what I can comfortably say is we have no worry that anything will happen. We are not in any danger. We have no reason to think that there will be spillovers.
They have called upon the government to keep and treat the patients in their respective districts.
Nandigambye nti oba babakuumire nnyo mu ddwaliro okulaba nti tebatambula n'ababajjanjaba bennyini babeere nga beetooloolerawo wennyini mu ddwaliro okuba nti tebatambuza bulwadde obwo. Ate
sisuubira nti eyo Mubende gye tumanyi nti gye buli titeri malwaliro kubanga omuntu singa abadde ali awantu wamu nti basobola ositula abasawo ne baba batwalira n'asobola omujjanjabira waali n'alema tambuza bulwadde kuba obulwadde obwo butambulira mu mpewo.
Residents have also asked the Ministry of Health to carry out sensitization meetings with local residents on Ebola virus disease.
Anze kyensaba gavumenti kintu kimu okubeera nti etulerawo emisomo gy'Ebola ono batubuulire nti okuwewala tulina kukola bwetuti tulina kukola bwetuti nga batusomesa ku COVID-19.
However, the mayor in the municipality, Fabrice Rulinda, responded to the residents by appealing to them to follow the precaution measures to avoid the spread of Ebola.
It's terrible in terms of not the disease, but in terms of we are losing business. For example, you know that I had a festival that I was supposed to have in December, the Kusi Ideas Festival. We lost it because of Ebola. So you have international conferences that are being cancelled because of this, but we are hopeful. Uganda has a very good track record in managing pandemics. We have the best track record in the management of Ebola worldwide, and I have no doubt in the capacity of our health sector to ensure that this is also beaten.
Currently, Entebbe Isolation Facility has 9 active Ebola cases.
The government of Uganda has urged stranded Ugandans living in the United Arab Emirates to register with the Immigration Office before the closure of the repatriation window at the end of October. A spokesperson for the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Simon Wandei, has confirmed the commitment of UAE government footing all the deportation expenses.
Through bilateral negotiations between the government of Uganda and that of United Arab Emirates, stranded Ugandans in the UAE were granted a window to be repatriated even without necessary documentation.
The government of UAE accepted to waive their illegal stay fines and allowed them to return, and actually paid for their tickets to return home.
These are given till the end of October to register with the Immigration Office for consideration.
Of course, once they are discovered after the amnesty period, that is after October, they will be fined and then thereafter will be deported back home.
Upon return, these Ugandan nationals will undergo mandatory counseling before mixed with the community. Government has hired special psychologists for this job.
We are counseling these young girls. Remember, they have been in incarceration for about 1-2 months, others 3 months. So it wouldn't be proper for these people to just come and then we let them go their way. So what is happening, they are not being kidnapped. They are only being helped to be taken to Ministry, especially of Internal Affairs, where we have counselors paid for by the government of Uganda to help counsel these people so that they can be integrated back in society.
At least 100,000 Ugandans stay in the UAE, where only 25,000 possess illegal documents and 75,000 used irregular means to reach Emirates.
Doing it through fraudulent companies who are only looking for money. So only roughly 25,000 Ugandans living and working in UAE are doing it in legal means. The 75,000 are doing it fraudulently through some agents who are looking for money.
Security has established increasing irregular recruitment of girls in rural areas. Perpetrators are believed to use religious crusades to deceive people.
So we have had a group of agents who go to areas located in rural Busoga, rural Teso, rural Bugisu, to convince parents that they can actually get jobs for these girls. So some of these, when they reach there, they pretend to be CFDs, very serious CFDs. So they are engaged in, first of all, preaching the gospel.
The outcry of Ugandans stranded in the UAE, with others detained in different prisons, attracted mixed reaction and public mobilization to fundraise for the repatriation exercise. Abdul Nasili Luwama, UBC.
And with that, we take a quick break. When we return, more details, News Tonight.
So, I'm here to announce that the MTN Kampala Marathon is back. And this year, we are running for babies. To be clear, I am not talking about a baby. No. And neither am I talking about to be baby. I am talking about these small dollars.
Run for babies in the MTN Kampala Marathon on Sunday, 20th November 2022. Dial *165 *77# or use the Momo app to register.
We can't tolerate sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment is unacceptable in our school.
Because a good school equals a better life.
Raising voices.
Welcome to Friends Stadium. Everybody's ready. Wait a second, not everybody. Come on, dude. It's the FIFA World Cup. You're going to lose your seat, the ritual seat, the lucky one. Losing more than a seat, your team is going to lose. Where are you, dude? The match is about to start. Your friends won't hold on much longer. Excuse me. Finally, everything is in the right place. Hey, other hand. And you, do you have everything you need to believe?
Meet Professor Petero. He knows something every hustler in UG is gonna love.
Oh, see. You see, I was just trying to get the documents to register for Airtel Money.
You don't need the documents. You just decided to register. Yes. Become a safer and more efficient cash-free business today. Easy.
Not mixing your business money with your Kameza money. Now, that's efficient.
Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
The Ministry of Health informs the public that there are confirmed cases of Ebola in Uganda. We, however, urge the public not to panic as the situation is being managed. The Ministry of Health further reminds the public to be on the lookout for any persons who may show signs and symptoms of Ebola. These include high body temperature, abdominal pains, diarrhea, vomiting, bleeding from the body openings such as the nose, eyes, and mouth. Please inform the nearest health worker immediately if you see anyone with these signs and symptoms. To prevent Ebola from spreading further, please take the following preventive measures: regular washing of hands with water and soap, avoid handshaking and hugging, avoiding any contact with any suspected Ebola patients. Any person who dies suddenly should not be buried but reported to the nearest health worker or LC1 immediately. For further information, please call the Ministry of Health toll-free number on 0800 100 066 or send a free SMS to your report on 8500. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF and World Health Organization.
Welcome back. You are still watching News Tonight. The People's Front for Transition's leader, Dr. Kizza Besigye, and accomplice Samuel Walter Mukaku have appeared at Buganda Road Magistrates Court to start the hearing of the case of incitement to violence. They appeared before Magistrate Asuman Muhumuza.
ASP Nahamanya David, who conducted the arrest, was the first witness to testify in the case, where People's Front for Transition's leader, retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, and accomplice Samuel Walter Mukaku are facing charges of incitement to violence. ASP Nahamanya David, the commander of operations at Central Police Station in Kampala, told court that he found Dr. Kizza Besigye mobilizing the public to join, although when he tried to arrest him, the accused closed himself in the car. This was before Magistrate Asuman Muhumuza.
A way that I could bring back a sanity was to make sure that him and his colleague are arrested, and which I did, and which sanity returned downtown.
During arrest, Dr. Kizza Besigye and Mukaku locked themselves in the car, resisting arrest.
There was a lot to use, a lot of force to push him away and pull the loudspeaker back to himself. I would say they were violent to us.
How?
I just tried to talk to them, they didn't give me attention. They locked themselves in the vehicle.
That amounted to violence.
We tried to grab the microphone, the loudspeaker he was using, and he was almost hitting the officer who tried.
During cross-examination, ASP Nahamanya David found it hard to defend the statement he made following the arrest.
You are saying there are those who are not happy with the statements he made.
Not the statements, but his actions.
Let's take the questions and answers to the statements. Where there are people who are not happy with the statements given.
Well, for the statements, I can't tell.
You can't tell?
Yeah, I can't tell. I didn't. I thought what I had put in my statement was enough.
Counsel to the accused, Arias Lukwago, is in the case.
So far, as you have witnessed, what is happening is clearly a matter of persecution. It's persecution, nothing else, because these are trumped up charges. There is nothing that was inciting, which is being said here.
Dr. Kizza Besigye, who talked to the media after court, said this won't deter them from fighting for the rights of Ugandans.
This has nothing to do with crime. This is just politics, as I'm sure the case is beginning to show. The vehicles that were taken from us very clearly have absolutely nothing to do with the charges we face, because the vehicle cannot incite on its own, but they have taken and kept 2 vehicles from us.
Court will resume on the 31st of October 2022 for further hearing. Prosecution alleges that on 14th June 2022, around Chikubo Parish in Kampala district were found inciting violence to the public. Rebecca Nantongo, UBC News.
So the Local Government Finance Commission has started negotiations with central government on the conditional grant for the financial year 2023-24. A grant of 5.8 trillion shillings is to be distributed to line ministries under the Uganda Intergovernmental Fiscal Transfer Reform Program.
The Uganda Intergovernmental Fiscal Transfer Reform Program was established in 2007 to strengthen the financing, funding and reduce the disparities in funding for service delivery across local governments. To this, line ministries are allocated funds to assist implementation of various programs.
This is an annual exercise. Every year we meet because we agree on the programs, the money is involved, the condition is attached on the monies and the implementation. When we started the current reform in 2015-16, we had about 2.6 trillions going to local governments. As we talk now, this financial year, we have 5.8 trillions going to local governments.
The Local Government Finance Commission has kicked off negotiations and recommendations for allocation of funds to various ministries, and the Ministry of Education and Sports has taken the lion's share.
Today we have started with the Ministry of Education and Sports, which takes the biggest chunk of the money under the conditional grants. So we expect the discussion is to focus on the increase on the money to go for the capitation grant, that is for primary and secondary. We are aware that when the economy was opened and schools resumed, we had a number of private schools closing, and so the pupils and the students who were in these private schools went to government schools.
However, experts from local government attribute the delayed service deliveries to bureaucracy, where funds have to go through numerous procedures before they are released.
And in the year 2021, we made a social contract with the people of Uganda that we are going to improve over 200 health center, 2 health center 3s, that we are going to construct over 231 seed secondary schools in the sub-counties that are not having seed secondary schools currently. This was a social contract we made to the people of Uganda. But now, because of bureaucracies, this program was hijacked. And along the way, a certain type of procurement called hybrid was introduced, which requires the ministries of health, of education, to control the procurement.
Experts say they are incapacitated with sources of revenue collection allocated to them, which retards service delivery.
But as local governments, we are left with some small revenue bases, which are really, I can call residue taxes. The lucrative taxes are collected by the center through Uganda Revenue Authority. We are left with the small sources, which are quite residue in nature.
Currently, it goes through the Uganda Road Fund vote, and it takes some time to reach local governments. And when it reaches, sometimes it is not as it was appropriated by Parliament.
Mary Namkose, UBC News.
Jinja YMCA administration has called for a need to train chiropractic doctors due to the increased spinal-related health cases in the country. This was during a chiropractic camp where over 700 people attended.
A research made by YMCA and partners in the sub-counties of Jinja districts shows that at least 8 people out of 10 have back-related complications. YMCA handed over 700 people to train for chiropractic.
It has been the first exercise. The problem is there, but this unique service is rare or inadequate in our community, in particular Jinja here.
However, people suffering from backache hailed YMCA for initiative to treat spinal-related ailments.
Watandika 2019 ayo kubwao
litereranga lifunanga ku accident lifunanga ku bulwaire bwa maani ino nti buntuusisa ku kitanda.
Some of the chiropractics were doctors from the United Kingdom.
Educate them so they can educate you. The biggest thing is understanding what causes the problems and how you can help yourself.
That they are overwhelmed with the number of patients, so they can't treat everybody.
A beach director, Jinja YMCA Drata Lambert Okure says Uganda has less chiropractic health practitioners.
We have seen the demand, so we're going to relate with these friends of ours to see that next time many more people within our community of Busoga and Jinja, Jeru are given these services. There are only 3 specialists in this field, so they cannot serve the whole country.
Chiropractic is a medical system based on theory that disease and disorders are caused by a misalignment of the bones, especially in the spine, that obstructs proper nerve functions. Currently, Uganda has only 3 chiropractic doctors. Abiona Francisco, UBC News.
And as the country joins the rest of the world to commemorate World Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Day, health experts are calling upon government and development partners to increase on financial support to hospitals handling the condition in the country. This was revealed during a media breakfast meeting on Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus, a birth defect, held in Kampala. Medics also called for availability of medical supplies needed for the treatment and management of the condition.
So this is a request to the government and the development partners to offer more financial and technical support to the hospitals offering care to patients with spina bifida and hydrocephalus. Like I told you, the estimated cost, and this is at cure, is 6.2 million. If you went to private hospitals, it will cost lots of money, only for those people who can afford. The medical supplies, some of them are still lacking. The drugs for management of continence like oxybutynin, sometimes it runs out of stock. The catheters, the enema cones, we have to get them outside of the country. Can something be done about making sure that we can have access to catheters and the cones?
The doctor said the spinal bifida, or the condition happens within the 28 days. And we know that the majority of our pregnancies here in Uganda are unplanned. By the time that a mother goes to the hospital for antenatal, they are past the 28 days. So you may find that it may be too late for the folic acid that they are giving them. We look at consumption of fortified food, of foods that are rich in folic acid. We do know that folic acid, like the doctor has mentioned here, is key in the prevention of spinal bifida.
Political advocacy, etc. As an association, we have over 12,000 children born with hydrocephalus and spina bifida. And I would like to tell you that their distribution is not even according to the geographical area. You find some regions, majorly Kasese, having a very high number of children with spina bifida. And we know that even services for children in that region are very scanty. So as an association, we are mandated, or we are obliged to kind of coordinate cost-effective care to ensure that these children receive early interventions, because like the doctor told us that the earlier the intervention is done, the better health outcomes.
Which is residual.
And now over 1,000 youth will train in leadership skills to mentor youth into responsible citizenship. The 10th Youth Forum on Leadership Skills, organized by Uganda Bible Society in Kampala, is under the theme Exploring the Biblical Version of Mentorship.
Youth in Uganda make 78% of the total population. Unlike the lower positions of leadership, most youth are not seen in high positions. With the aim to engage in leadership, the Bible Society of Uganda will train youth on leadership skills. The conference in Kampala on the theme, Exploring the Biblical Vision for Mentorship, will attract over 1,000 participants.
And when you see Africa as a continent, it is the youngest continent on earth. So we need to bring up the young people who can understand the aspirations and the fear and hope of the young people. Because they are the future and also they are the present. So that is the message that we would like to convey both to the youth but also to the veterans who are experienced, so that they can take the young people under their wings and they can promote and equip them.
The Bishop Lango Diocese Right Reverend Alfred Ora says youth need mentoring in leadership skills.
And we cannot just lament about what is happening with the young people. We have to start where we can and do what we can, like what we are doing now. These issues go back to the parents, in the family. If you are talking about work, if you are talking about a modest lifestyle, if you are talking about honesty, you are talking about truth, they draw from parents. And so it goes back to a curriculum which is not written, but actually they are copying after adults. And I cannot see a better place to show a good lifestyle than in church.
Former Uganda Law Society President Fiona Nabasa-Wall also encouraged the youth to utilize the available opportunities.
As we speak today, we want to encourage our youth to clean their hands, to get mentored, to get prepared. Who is that person that you're following? Because as you follow, you are sowing seed that you will reap when you are leading. So if you are a disobedient follower, if you are a rebellious follower, it doesn't help you because you are not learning. So we are intent to do this.
Some youth have expectations in the conference.
Young people can always use their talent to influence their society. When you have talent, talk about music. Music speaks volume. Today you can record a song and tomorrow it will be played in Colombia, you understand? So it is more than just wording or something written. So talent is really influential and talent is really important in today's society.
Story compiled by Deborah Namamonde and Susan Nabugude for UBC News.
And the State Minister for Transport, Fred Byamukama, has urged the population to follow Ministry of Health guidelines for Ebola. He made the call while in Buyanja East constituency in Chibale district at the handover ceremony of Mutagata Health Center to St. Jude Catholic Parish, Busimbi, which was built by Dr. Emily Kugonza under his organization, Emesco Development Foundation.
Thousands of people gathered to Chebando sub-county Buyanja East constituency in Chibale district for the inauguration of Mutagata Health Center 2. The aim is to improve access to the health care services by the community.
So today we handed this over to the Catholic Parish of Kasimbi, and here is the intention. Settle as an organization, we are not looking at making money, but we are looking at serving the people. And Emesco Development Foundation raised some bit of money. I raised some bit of money, got some money from friends.
Buyanja East Member of Parliament Dr. Emily Kugonza under Emesco Development Foundation are building health centers.
Mothers who are dying in labor and when they could not actually be able to access health services, even simple ailments, like you have malaria, you don't have where to easily go. And so we felt it important as a Emesco Development Foundation to construct a health facility there. And this is the success of the facilities that we have constructed. And our mode of operation, they are those that we run directly as a development organization, and certainly the users are charged the user fees. But there are those that we hand over to other institutions.
The State Minister for Transport, Byamukama Fred, commended Emesco Development Foundation for improving access to health care in Bunyoro sub-region.
We have seen, yes, the health side is covered. When now someone falls sick, can easily run here and is treated. And also as a government, we are going to improve on the connecting roads, which are connecting the facility. Because when someone is sick, he must move faster without any delay.
Byamukama cautioned people about Ebola and also urged them to work hard for the development of the nation and themselves.
We should get involved in growing iris fruits. They are very expensive on the market when you have to sell. Poultry, so that they can earn a living instead of just looking around, begging from government.
On the issue of Ebola, the district health officer, Chivale District, James Asima, says they are not seated since the district is opposite the district of Mubende and Kagadi, where Ebola has already attacked people.
But from the samples that we have taken for testing, we have not received any confirmed case of Ebola. Presently, we are implementing a number of programs, health programs in government. We are implementing immunization.
MTN joins the people of Keralur to celebrate the 12th coronation anniversary of the King of Keralur, His Royal Majesty Ubim Philip Raoni III in October. At MTN, we believe that we only succeed if the communities in which we operate succeed. And so, we're happy to join the people and well-wishers of the people of Keralur in promoting social cultural programs of the Ubim.
Walego Mugisa ni Ubimu ku Keralur.
In the year 2020, the world was brought to standstill because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We lost friends, we lost relatives, we lost workmates during that very, very trying time. And we decided that we could remember them by establishing what we call the Remember Me book. We also appeal to all Ugandans to plant a tree. We are aiming at 1 million trees in memory of those who departed from us.
We call upon individuals and institutions that lost any loved one to join us by donating and dedicating 1,000 trees at 1 million Ugandan shillings or more. To donate, trees call 0700 513 660. This message is brought to you by My Tree Initiative.
Did you know that a cashless, secure, and convenient lifestyle is possible with Airtel Money Pay? Pay for your goods and services in the following simple steps. Dial *185 *9#. Enter the merchant ID. Enter the amount. Enter payment reference, for example, school items. Please enter PIN to confirm. You will receive a confirmation message for a successful transaction. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Now in business, the Uganda Advertising Association has launched Silverback Awards, a recognition gala for creative, public relations and media excellence. The first edition of the Silverback Awards, organized by the association, will engage industry stakeholders and policymakers on best practices and how the industry can improve to compete with international markets. The Integrated Marketing Symposium at the Kampala Serena Hotel is scheduled for the 11th November 2022, while the Silverback Awards will be on the 12th of the same month.
If you look at the reports from Geopol, Ipsos and stuff like that, I think radio has the highest reach, TV has the highest recall, but digital for urban areas is taking the bigger share. I was reading a report from Kenya yesterday. Programmatic advertising or digital advertising is now second to TV advertising in Kenya, and I was writing in that group. I think that trend is soon catching up in Uganda.
It's very good that at the symposium there's a whole theme on digital trends, so I'm sure that will be touched extensively. Then maybe quickly, the marketers are organizing a fireplace towards the end of the year, and I'd like to highlight that we'll have world-renowned speakers. Pierre Smith and Dr. Deb Shafi have written so many books about digital marketing, and particularly Dr. Deb Shafi will be talking about digital trends to look out for in 2023. He's the founder of Smart Insights. If you have interacted with smartinsights.com. These adverts are really understood when they are constructed both in English and and Luganda. They are still understood by people. You have an advert which is constructed both in English and and the vernacular language, Luganda, and maybe I've not seen the ones of Lusoga, but I have seen the Luganda being punched into the main English advert.
In building the Silverback Award, UAA has given co-create a chance to leave a mark, a very big mark on the advertising industry. The awards are open to agencies, film houses, production houses, even individuals with freelancers, as long as they get permission from the client who they created the work.
In sports, the Uganda's hopes to claim the Beach Soccer African Championship have come to an end after the team fell to Egypt 2-6 in their last group game match. The loss means Uganda will now exit the 2022 Beach Soccer Africa Cup of Nations. That's Africa Cup of Nations, and will only play a classification match against Malawi on the 27th of October, this Wednesday.
Uganda has exited the 2022 Beach Soccer Africa Cup of Nations after losing to Egypt 2-6 in their last group game. In a match played this afternoon at the Villancres Arena in Mozambique, Uganda conceded 6 goals and scored 2 from Beka Lukoya and Brian Nkubi. Uganda needed a win against Egypt to progress to the semi-finals after losing the first game and winning the second.
But we had a little bad luck, and today the team with the better experience, with the more experienced players could win. That's my analysis. We made a good journey. We trained a lot, we made some good results. Now the basic is done, you know, you have to go ahead to work with these guys, to train and to prepare for the next tournament.
This is the worst finish for the Ugandan national beach soccer team, having finished 4th in the previous Beach Soccer Africa Cup of Nations edition played in Senegal. Uganda will play a classification match against Malawi on Wednesday, 27th October. Grace Joyce Kemigisa, UBC News.
And the World Cup has allowed Qatar to make progress on issues, those are issues related to worker rights, but there remains gaps in the country's labor system. The tournament's organizing committee says Qatar has come under heavy scrutiny from human rights groups over its treatment of migrant workers. Mahmoud Kutab, the committee's director of workers' welfare and labor rights, says the labor landscape has changed. The World Cup starts on the 20th of November. It is estimated up to 30,000 migrant laborers have been used on projects to build 7 stadiums for the finals in Qatar, as well as a new airport, new metro and new roads. However, human rights organization Amnesty International says that since 2010, hundreds of thousands of migrant workers have faced human rights abuses while employed to build wider infrastructure necessary to host the tournament as well as the venues. And with that, a recap of the headlines. Residents living around the Ebola isolation facility ask Health Ministry to treat Ebola patients in respective districts. Kampala Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago calls for government support on Ebola prevention. And Uganda urges stranded Ugandans living in UAE to register with immigration. And that does it for tonight. Thank you for sticking with us. I am Rhoda Ngonzi. Do have yourselves a lovely night.
The Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello? Hello? This is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Hey, Kasozi, my brother. Long time. We last met when we were at campus. It's been a while, but you are the person I'm looking for.
Campus? Really?
Hey, you don't remember me?